Welcome. I'm Susan Roberti, and let's talk tail waggers. We are at Peters Creek today. But before I get started, I would like to say thank you to my cameraman. Thank you, Hayden. You know, BPTV is all volunteers, and you are more than welcome to come down to the station, learn how to do cameras, or do a show. There's just no words for it. If you have a passion for making cupcakes or painting or fixing a car or whatever, and you'd like to share it, stop up to BPTV. There's a wonderful young man there. His name is Dave Cable. He's very, very pleasant, and he'll get you started. So now it's time to talk about fishes. We're at Peters. Fishing is my passion. I love the fish. Here at Peters Creek, which used to be Water Dam 2, there is largemouth bass, bluegill, crappie, catfish, carp, and I have been coming here, I think, since I was 5 years old with my mother, and I have brought many, many children here. I brought my son here from the time he was 5 years old, and he has turned out to be a wonderful fisherman. And this is what I really want to give to everybody, to let them know how wonderful it is to fish. We came here every night for 10 years until he got too old that he didn't want to come anymore. He wanted to go with his friends. And we had 4 gentlemen that were retired, and it wasn't anything like it is now. Hardly anybody knew about Water Dam 2, and you bought a little permit and you came down and you just sat here, and we had so much fun catching fish and talking. The guys would go walking around the lake with their waders, and I would always be sitting here on the culvert. I'm ashamed of myself because I don't come down very often anymore. I should, but I don't. It's a beautiful, beautiful place, and the old gentlemen that used to come down, they called it the poor man's Canada. And we'll be taking some shots of looking straight ahead. But fishing is a family thing, a personal thing. It's the enjoyment that it gives you. The children will drive you crazy when you first start with them. Some of them take right to it if they catch their fish right away. But these tail waggers are magnificent. And when you catch one, they're silver. Some of them have blue going down their backs. The little bluegills, the sunfish, the catfish are absolutely sensational, and they're fun to catch because they really are very strong. The carp aren't very pretty, but they're fun to catch too. Once in a while you'll catch crappie. They're silver. They're a very beautiful, beautiful fish. But it's a wonderful thing to do, and it's a wonderful gift to give to your children. I've written down some things I don't want to forget to tell you. Grandmas. I think grandmas, if you ever went fishing in your young life and you kind of know something about it, maybe you could take your grandson or granddaughter fishing. There's always somebody around to help you, I know from experience, And people that come fishing are very, very friendly people, very kind, and they enjoy the same thing that you're doing. So I've always wanted to do, since I became a grandma, I've wanted to do fishing with grandma shows and go around the country and talk to different grandmas and pap-haps about them taking their little ones fishing. It's a wonderful, I just will say this all through the show. It's a wonderful thing. When you catch a big mouth bass and you're pulling him in and he jumps up out of the water and goes back and jumps up out of the water and goes back, it is absolutely heart-stopping. I love it. I love it. And when you reel him in and you bring him up and you look at him and he looks at you, and it's time to leave him go and put him back in the water and let him, he's given you a lot of enjoyment in a few minutes, and it's time to let him go. I started fishing, my grandma taught me when I was a little girl up at Cuba Lake. And I was just little tiny, maybe 3 or 4, and I caught, my grandfather put a little line down through a hole in the dock, and I caught this thing, and my grandfather came over and he looked, it was too big to bring it up through the hole. I guess he didn't think of that, and I was hooked for fishing. And then if you were a true fisherman, you had to learn how to clean your fish, and then you could say that you were a true fisherman. And I went to my grandmother's cottage on Cuba Lake for many, many years and spent summers there and loved every day, every second, every minute of it. And then when I came home and became a teenager, then I forgot about fishing. And then I got married, and I didn't know down the road I was going to have a little boy. And then I said, what am I going to do with him? You have to entertain them. So I said, well, I guess I'm going to go fishing. Meanwhile, my mom never, ever stopped coming down here. And she would come down and sit right here by herself all night. Water Dam 2 was open all night. Just sit down here and fish. And once in a while, the police would come by. So I started bringing my son down when he was 4.5 or 5 fishing. And he really took to it. He really did. And so we spent, like I said, every night down at the water dam fishing. And it can be something wonderful because my husband left and I didn't have any money. So this was, I'd go out at night and catch night crawlers, and we would come down and go fishing. This show really means a great deal. Really, really a great deal. I could just sit here and not talk. It's very hard for me. It's hard to talk is unreal. It's just so beautiful. The frogs are here. This is a natural habitat. It's never had never stalked the bass and the bluegill and the crappies. They just live here. Have their babies here, I guess you'd say, and this is their home. And if you come down and catch them, you have to, I'm watching, there's people have their dogs coming down and going into the water over there. Could just sit here and fish. That's the beauty of it. No matter what kind of mood you're in, if you're sad, if you're glad, you come down and go fishing. We have 2 little boys over here, young men over here fishing, you just sit and your shoulders come down and you just keep looking all around. And every time you look from one side to the other, there's something new to see. Some little bird goes by or some little fish jumps in the water. It is. It's a beautiful, beautiful thing to do. And I'm very happy that we do have Peters Creek, that they kept it. And they've made such beautiful parking for us. And they've changed a few things. But it's a very, very lovely spot to come and go fishing. And you just, as you can see, people are walking or bringing their dogs down. There's a turtle in the water out there, a big one too. Oh, he went under. See, that's why I love it here. You just come down, there's always something to see. And I'm just going to sit here and fish for a few minutes. It's beautiful. There's a lot of things going on now with taking care of the water, taking care of the fish. There's a lot of organizations coming now, starting for children. You have to have your license. I have an old folks license now. You can buy it, but it's a lifetime license. And you can take your children, and they have workshops, and you can learn how to fish, and they can learn how to fish. It's truly, truly, there are no words that are strong enough, pretty enough to tell you how it is when you come fishing. And we will be being visited by some ducks. Some ducks are coming down, coming down along the side. There's always something to see. And it's nice and cool today. There's a nice breeze today. But we caught some, what we called back then, we called them hogs. And I mean, they were nice sized bass. And tons of bluegills. I brought my grandson Don when he was little and introduced him to Peters Creek, and he was scared to death of the worms. He did not like the worms. And all I heard all day was, "Grandma, they're grimy." And I couldn't understand what was grimy. And it finally dawned on me that they were slimy. And they would bite him. So I sat him down and showed him that they don't have any mouth to bite you. And the reason that they have a little bit of slime on them, that makes it easier for them to go down into the ground and back up. So I had him touch it and then hold half of it. And by the time evening came, he was putting his worm on his hook. And I was so proud. I was just like, oh, wow. And I said to him on the way home, I said, "What, do you think that they're slimy?" He says, "No, Grandma, they no bite." So these are memories. It's beautiful here. It really is. These are memories. And they come rushing in. And I wish I would catch a fish so I could show you how. Oh, guess what? Ask and you shall receive. There it is. The smallest bluegill in the world. And is my son here? Are you here, son? He leaves. Where'd he go? I knew that would happen. Come here, little guy. Come here, my little guy. Come here, come here. Let me see if you pigged it. I don't think you did. You gonna spit it? Anyways, I'm glad that I have this little guy. This is a little baby bluegill. And he is blue. And he is all around his head. The shades of blue. And then he has greens and golds and caramel colors. His fin's blue. You can get them. They'll get as big as your hand, if not bigger. And if you want to, you can catch a whole bunch of them, take them home, and have a nice bluegill dinner. He's a dear little guy. He's just a little baby. Now we're cooking. Yeah, thanks for coming. I'm going to drop him back in till my son comes back. And my hands aren't good to get him off. I'm going to put you back in the water until the sun comes. And then he'll get you off, okay? And there's all kinds of reels. There's Zebco, if you're going to start out, it's the best, a closed face one, because the open face one takes you a little bit, not a lot, just a little bit of time to learn, but they're smoother and more fun to use. And the fishing poles today are absolutely unbelievable. They have, if you go to Cabela's, there are a gazillion of them, kinds. But you don't have, if you're going to start out, you don't have to buy $1 million fishing pole and reel. Zebco makes a little fishing pole and a little reel for little kids. And they make a beginner's fishing pole. Don't go and spend $35, $40, $50 on a reel. On a pole. Just get yourself a $11 one. Stop at Kmart and grab one on sale, and the same goes for the kids. The little fish are just jumping everywhere. The same goes for the children. They don't need it, because if they're not going to be interested, then you don't want to waste a lot of money. And I caught a fish. Did you? Yeah. So I already showed him to everybody. So if you want to come down and get him off the hook for me. And now we have to put a new hook on. And I can tell you stories about putting hooks on. Millions and millions of them when the kids were little. They'd get tangled up in the trees, and it's worth it. It's worth all the time and effort to get your children involved in fishing, because over here, these young men are here today on a Wednesday morning, and they're fishing. And gives them something to do, and maybe they'll catch their dream bass. We did. And there's some ducks up here, and I wish the ducks would come down. Before, we're going to have to say goodbye, huh? Susie Smith, our beautiful lady for BPTV, she is married to a beautiful, big, handsome man named Jim Smith, and he is very ill. And this came very quickly. So I'm thinking of you today, Susie Smith, because she does camera work, and all we did all winter was talk about coming down here and doing my fishing show, because this is on my bucket list. I wanted to do this show and share this with you for 20 years, and I finally got to do it, and actually caught a fish. So I want her to know that we're all thinking, thank you, we're all thinking of her. We're thinking of Jim with a million prayers. If you could, when you say your night prayers or your day prayers, say a prayer for the two of them. Susie does commit to be fit, and she does a beautiful job. And she loves BPTV, and we love having her. So take some time out, or just a second, and ask the Holy Spirit to bless them, because they're going to need it. And I miss you, Suze. Well, oh, and don't forget to send money to the Washington Area Humane Society. It's summertime, and they get a lot of strays and a lot of kitties. If you could send towels, sheets, blankets that you wouldn't be giving to the homeless, and they're really good enough, common sense, to send to the Washington Area Humane Society, could you do that, please? Think about this show. The ducks aren't going to come down. Think about this, how wonderful it is. And don't go, oh, pound the kids in and getting this and doing that. After everything gets learned and they understand that the hook will stick them and everything, then it becomes a joy. And that's why I'm doing the show today. So, like always, here goes the duck. I love you. And thanks from all the tail waggers.